Welcome to BattleBots at Home, and it's time for the second half of the top 32 as we continue our single elimination tournament to determine our brand new champion. Last week we went through the left side of the bracket. This time we'll be looking at the right side of the bracket. For our first fight of the night, we have the number 2 seed, Mr. Slice, facing off against the 31st seed, the Three Musketeers. The Three Musketeers is an interesting multi-bot comprised of one large bot and two mini-bots. The reason the Three Musketeers are ranked so low is because despite going 2-1 during the regular season, their wins weren't of high quality and their loss to Slick was pretty bad. That's why they're ranked so low. And because of that, they'll have to face our second seed, the deadly full body spinner of Mr. Slice. Not only did Mr. Slice get a perfect 3-0 record during the main season, but all of their wins were by incredibly brutal KO, every single one of their opponents completely annihilated, and this bot may just be unstoppable. Will Mr. Slice claim yet another victim on its path to greatness, or will the Three Musketeers get the upset of a lifetime? Let's find out. Three, two, one. Let the bot. Oh my god, I didn't even get to finish my sentence. Already one of the Three Musketeers is thrown out of the arena. Mr. Slice only needs to defeat one more to win in order to get rid of more than 50% of the weight. I don't even know what to say. One of the mini-bots is gone, thrown out of the arena, and right now Mr. Slice is not letting up. Oh, and they just destroyed the third bot, and that was the biggest bot of them all. And without them, more than 50% of the weight is gone. We just get it counted out. It doesn't matter that that last mini-bot is trying their best. Oh, get thrown across the box. This fight is over. This fight is over. Mr. Slice has shown why they're our number 2 seed and the best full body spinner ever built. I don't know what else to say here. Just absolute brutality from Mr. Slice. They instantly threw one of the bots out of the arena. And at that point, they only need to take out one more. And they went after the biggest one that weighed the most. Going after the one with the sword. But the sword got ripped off immediately. And Mr. Slice is bouncing all over the place. And they just completely annihilated the Three Musketeers. All you see there just split the main bot into 3 different pieces. Throwing the third mini bot around like a rag doll. And that was curtains for the multi-bot. In our next fight, we have a 15-18 matchup between the Grappler of Grappler and the 4-bar lifter of Pump Up. Grappler is a really good grabbing robot that went 2-1 during the regular season. They got dominant wins over Rotator and Trash, and while they did lose to Sawblade, it was a really close back-and-forth fight. Grappler's grabbing arms are really good at controlling opponents, but the same could be said for the weapon of their opponent, Pump Up. Pump Up went 2-1 during the regular season, and while it may not always work properly, that lifter has a lot of potential to get robots in sticky situations. Will it be enough to help them win against one of the best control bots you've ever seen? Let's find out. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. The two bots meet face to face, but Pump Up wins the exchange and already pushing Grappler into the sidewall. Huge advantage to Pump Up so far. Pump Up just not giving them a chance to get out of that corner, and they're not gonna get out of that corner as they're out of the arena. Grappler is done. Pump Up has moved on to top 16 in amazing fashion. Man, this was just an absolute perfect fight from Pump Up. Once they got underneath Grappler, it was all over. They just did not let up. They pushed him into the wall, and they kept pushing him over the wall. They never gave him a chance to get back in the arena. They just kept pushing him and pushing him. That lifter is just so unique and so different. It can do things other lifters can't, such as pushing him and shuts the right way to get him stuck over the wall. Pump Ups and its amazing weaponry will move on to the top 16, and we say goodbye to the control bot of Grappler. Up next, we have the 7th seed Emergency facing off against the 26th seed Wave. Something interesting about this fight is that these two have actually already met in a Rumble last season, in which Wave came out on top. But both bots have heavily evolved since then, and the outcome could be different. Despite its relatively low seeding, Wave is still a very dangerous bar spinner. They got good KO wins over Jekyll and Hyde and Alien before eventually losing to Glass in a tough battle. As for Emergency, despite a really poor showing last time, they've had nothing but success this time around. They've gotten 3 dominant wins during the Fight Night rounds, and because of how crazy it was, they earned the 7th seed. They may be one of our most improved robots we've seen so far. Wave was the bot that knocked Emergency out of the competition last time. Is revenge in the card this time around? Let's head down to the box to find out. 3, 2, 1. Let the boss battle begin. A lot at stake here. Remember, winner goes on, loser goes home. Meanwhile, Wave is spinning up. Oh, they've already managed to tear off the lifter of Emergency. However, that's actually not that bad. Emergency has lost their lifter in pretty much every other fight, and they keep managing to win. Their main power is their drive system. They're just really powerful at ramming into other bots, just like that. However, the main power in Wave obviously is that massive bar. It's capable of lots of damage, and they seem to be aiming for those wheels. But Emergency isn't going to let them. They slam them into the wall. Emergency slams them into the other wall. Wave stuck in the corner. You got to get away from the walls. If they are near the walls, they can't spin up. Wave trying to hit those wheels. That's how they beat Emergency last time. Emergency's wheels are very exposed. If they lose even one of them, they could be done. Emergency just taking the hits well so far. Just keeping that front pointed towards the spinning blade of Wave. Wave still trying to retaliate, trying to do as much. Oh, huge slam there, courtesy of Emergency. Wave is upside down. Oh, slam to the other wall. Just that amazing drive power of Emergency is unlike anything you've ever seen before. Might be one of the hardest ramming bots you've ever seen. Just pure ramming power, ramming speed. Emergency, they're discombobulated now. Wave hitting the side. Oh, and that's gonna be it. This is what I was talking about. That ramming power Emergency is a killer. They just shoved Wave out of the arena. They didn't flip them out of the arena. They shoved them out of the arena. I've never seen anything like that. Wave is a really powerful bot. They're capable of lots of damage, but Emergency was just too powerful, and that drive system was just so amazing. They lost their weapon, but it did not matter. Emergency just slamming into Wave all across every which wave, and then eventually, of course, they did something we've never seen before. Wave just literally pushed out of the arena just like that. A spectacular win for Emergency. They are still undefeated. Up next, we have the Swiss Army bot Barnacles at the 23 seed going up against the Hammersaw Sawblaze at the 10th seed. Needless to say, Sawblaze is a very dangerous robot. They got 2 incredibly destructive wins with that dangerous Hammersaw, and their only loss is to the champion Bite Force. This robot is the master of karate chopping things, and if it hits you, things are going to go bad real fast. On the other side, we have Barnacles, a really interesting robot that has multiple weapons that they can use depending on their opponent. Overall, Barnacles had a pretty average season. They managed to defeat Glass in their first fight of the season, but then everything went wrong as it got torn to pieces by 87. But they bounced back with a win over Caution. For this fight, Barnacles will be using their overhead spinner configuration as a way of protecting their tracks against the Hammersaw of Sawblaze. Let's see if this plan will work. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. Already an immediate box rush from Sawblaze. Barnacles didn't even leave their square, and Sawblaze bringing on that saw out of the frame of the camera. We can't see them. We can definitely see them now, and we can see that they've torn an entire track off of Barnacles. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen, pushing them into the corner, and Sawblaze just not letting Barnacles do anything. Just bringing out that saw again and again, just absolute brutality from Sawblaze, and they ripped off the other thread. Barnacles is immobile. They're not going to go anywhere. And just like that, Barnacles has died a horrible death at the saw of Sawblaze. Well, Barnacles just got killed. Sawblaze just an absolute monster. They box rushed Barnacles immediately. They took off one of the tracks. This is exactly what they did not want to happen. Barnacles tried to run away, but Sawblaze was just too fast. They tracked him down. They stuck him in the corner, and they just brought down a Hammersaw. They never gave him a chance to do anything. Eventually, they cut off the other track, and Barnacles was left high in the water. Barnacles is out. Sawblaze goes through the face Emergency. In our next matchup, we have the number 3 seed Blacksmith taking on the 30th seed Unintended Consequences. Unintended Consequences is a full body spinner who went 2-1 during the earlier season. However, because their wins were only against low tier bots like Tension and Zero with a bad loss to Overlord, they scored a very low seeding. And because of that, they'll be taking on our number 3 seed, the Mighty Hammer of Blacksmith. Blacksmith may just be the best hammer bot we've ever seen. Not only is its armor incredibly durable, but that weapon hits with so much force. All 3 of their wins were by KO, and they ended the season at a perfect 3-0 record. Will Unintended Consequences get smashed like a pancake? Let's head down to the box to find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. Blacksmith immediately getting in the face of unintended consequences, stopping them from spinning up. If they can't spin up, things can go wrong real fast, especially right now as they're getting a double dose of hammer damage. Blacksmith just hitting them all, just bouncing off the wedge, those unintended consequences. Oh, and unintended consequences rips off the entire wedge of Blacksmith, but just then, they've been flipped over, and despite doing massive damage to Blacksmith, unintended consequences has basically lost this fight. They cannot flip over. Blacksmith's still attacking them, but it's unnecessary. They're about to get counted out, and unintended consequences, despite doing massive damage, it's over with. They deflected, they got flipped over, they cannot self-right, and Blacksmith will move on to the top 16 in style. This was a really quick fight, but a lot of action. Blacksmith immediately cornering unintended consequences, bringing down that hammer, but unintended consequences a little too much powerful for its own good. They did rip off the wedge. That was massive damage in favor. Just ripped off the entire wedge, and they could have won the fight after that. But Blacksmith managed to hit them again in such a way that they deflected, they flipped over, and without a self-right mechanism, it was all done. Blacksmith gets a dominant victory. In our next fight, we have yet another Hammerbot in the 14-seeded Slick going up against the 19-seeded Inverse. Now, admittedly, Slick did not have the best start to the Fight Night season as they quickly got dismantled by Bite Force in the main event fight, but things sure do change as eventually afterwards they completely destroyed the Free Musketeers and then they smashed Super Hot into itty-bitty pieces. They are one of the hardest hitting hammers we have right here, maybe only behind Blacksmith or Beta, and they're capable of mass destruction. Their opponent is the Lifter of Inverse. Now, similar to Slick, they also got destroyed by Bite Force during the main season, but aside from that, they've been a very competent Lifter bot, just controlling both their opponents and showing that they can control the entire match and win in pretty much every conceivable situation as long as they get a good lift in. It's time to find out who will come out on top, the controlled Lifter of Inverse or the deadly hammer of Slick. Let's head down to the box. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. Slick already bringing down that massive hammer. A lot of damage can be done. Inverse taking that hit like a champ, pushing Slick around. And oh, the entire hammer of Slick has fallen off. I don't even know how that happened, but things are getting worse. Inverse pushes them onto their side. And without that hammer, Slick cannot self-right. And just like that, this fight is done. Inverse will move on while Slick goes home in shame. What a disappointing way for such an amazing bot to go out. They brought down that hammer, but I guess that did more damage to himself. Slick just pushed him to the wall, and the entire hammer just fell off like it was nothing. I don't know what went wrong, but it cost them the fight. Inverse immediately got underneath him afterwards. They got him stuck on their side, and after that, there's nothing more they could do. Just like that, Slick, despite everything they were capable of, they lose in such an unfortunate way, while Inverse moves on in amazing fashion. In our next fight, we have the 6-seeded Gridlock taking on the 27-seeded Minotaur. Gridlock has really defied all expectations. It's one of only 8 bots to get a perfect 3-0 record. They got incredible wins over Super Hot, Smasher, and Heartbreak, and this incredible control bot might just have what it takes to go all the way. They'll be fighting the Brazilian bull known as Minotaur, a very destructive drum spinner. Now, admittedly, things didn't go off so well at the beginning of the Fight Night format as it got stranded on their back by Pump Up, but this bot, despite its low seeding, its weapon is dangerous. It really packs a punch, and if Gridlock isn't careful, we could see a real upset. With all that out of the way, let's head down to the box. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. That drum on Minotaur, very dangerous, but so is the Lifter of Gridlock. Gridlock showing us that by pushing Minotaur into the pulverizer, getting hammered. There goes the top panel, there goes one of the side panels, and already Gridlock doing a lot of damage. Minotaur has to get out of there right now. Once you get controlled by Gridlock, things go wrong really bad, really fast. Minotaur trying to get to the side of Gridlock, but Gridlock gets underneath him again, pushing them on the sidewall, and oh, they're out of the arena just like that. This fight is over. This right here is why Gridlock is so terrifying the fight. Their weapon may not be as visually dangerous as other bots, but they can just control you and make you completely helpless. Minotaur was nothing but a plaything for Gridlock. Gridlock got underneath them with ease. They eventually got stuck on the wall, and it was curtains. Gridlock showing that if they get the right matchups, and if their key could being this controlled, they could go all the way to winning the giant disc. I don't know what can stop them. For our final fight of the episode and the final fight of round 32, we have an 11-22 matchup as the Flipper of Hydration takes on the Vertical Spinner of Glass. Glass is definitely one of those bots who we've seen evolve over the competition. They went from getting KO'd by Barnacles to getting their own spectacular KO against Speedrun, and then having one of the greatest fights we've ever seen against Wave. Hydration is another bot that has really made a name for itself. In their first fight against Heartbreak, they easily threw the bot out of the arena. Then, against Witchdoctor, they got him stuck on the screws. But against Bronco, their flipper malfunctioned, it exploded, and they were left with defenseless as Bronco threw them out of the arena. There's only one spot left in the top 16. Which one of these two bots will get it? Let's find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. Glass trying to hit Hydration. Oh, welcome to Hydration Airlines. Population U. Hydration just tossing Glass like a football. Oh, into the wall. That was brutal. And just tossing Glass. Glass just shattering just like Glass. Glass in lots of pieces already. And just like that, the fight's basically over. The countdown has started, but I don't see the point. Glass is in so many broken pieces. Hydration redeeming themselves from their loss to Bronco. Everyone put your shoes on. There's broken glass everywhere. If you have a fear of heights, please do not watch the following replay. Hydration just showing them who's boss. Glass just tossed so high into the sky. Hydration showing that they are forced to be reckoned with, just punting them at the wall. That was just insane. So much power in that flipper. Hydration, and they did not let up. They just flipped them again and again until they were dead. Glass just shattered just like Glass, ironically enough. Hydration just showing why you do not want to mess with them. They are a very scary bot. And after another incredible night of incredible fights, we have reached the end of the round of 32. Just to recap, Mr. Slice turned the Free Musketeers into no Musketeers. Pump Up got Grappler out of the arena. Emergency got its revenge against Wave. Sawblaze made Barnacles walk the plank. Blacksmith took unintended consequences to Hammertown. Inverse inverted Slick. Gridlock locked down Minotaur. And of course, Hydration showed Glass the power of gravity. With all that out of the way, we are now down to just the top 16. Only 16 bots remain in the fight for the giant disc. Next week, we'll show the entirety of the round of 16 in our second to last episode. We'll see you there.